Hi, my name's Chrissy. I'm really glad you're here. So I've been making broth now for a good number of years, and it has probably been the single biggest change I've made that has impacted the health of my family, and it's been one of the easiest things to learn. When I first started making it, I thought, this is amazing, this is fantastic, I'm going to do this and it's going to revolutionize the health of my children and my family. This is going to be awesome. And then the first several batches of broth I made, I thought they were pretty good, but my children did not. And to be truthful, neither really did my husband. So it took me quite a while of trying different things and getting ideas from people and tweaking it until I've come up with this recipe, which was, I will say, heavily influenced by a dear friend of mine in Australia. And it is my favorite. It is my go-to now as far as chicken broth goes, and I make it every time. My family loves it. Several of my children, out of the 7, probably about half, will ask to have this just as a drink. They actually just like to sit with a hot cup of broth on a cool day and enjoy it as a hot drink. And the others maybe don't love it as much as that, but quite happy to have it in meals, or if they're feeling unwell, they know how much good it does them. The first thing is my pot here, which is a large enameled cast iron pot. Now you can use, really there's no limit to the different kinds of pots you can use, but the good thing about this one is it's a very heavy base, and so it won't burn. It has a lid, which I'll get in a minute, so that once I've got it on and going, this will cook long and slow, and it won't, not very much water will evaporate out of it. I have another stock pot, which I'll show you down here. This is my big one, which I will also use, and it's just nice. It's a big size, but I have to keep a closer eye on it because it's stainless steel, and it has a fairly heavy base as far as stainless steel goes, but it's not as heavy as the cast iron. And so, like tonight, all the rest of my family are in bed. I'm about to pop this pot on and let it cook on low in the back of the stove all night. Now, I would be somewhat hesitant to do that with stainless steel because I might have too much water evaporation, and I might end up with not enough liquid or it burning or something like that. I just want to keep a closer eye on it if I use the stainless steel pot. This one is great if I'm leaving it overnight. Now, back home in Australia, I also used a slow cooker a bunch, and it was awesome because I can switch it on and not think about it. I just haven't got a slow cooker here yet. That will be happening. I'm just slowly building my kitchen. So kitchen supplies. So we're starting with this one. Okay, so it's really simple. Basically, I have bags here of bones I have saved from when I have done roast chicken or cooked different chicken meals. I always save the bones. I'll tell the kids, I'll put a plate in the middle of the kitchen table and say, save all the bones into the plate, please. And then I stick it in a Ziploc bag and chuck it in the freezer until I'm ready to do broth. I also we had a roast turkey this week, so I've got a turkey carcass here as well as some chicken bones. And look, I have heard some people say it's best not to mix the bones. It really just depends on if you're okay with the flavor profile. There's no other reason to not do that. I also always save my onion ends and bits of celery and carrot. Now you'll see in the chicken broth, I just use the onion. I don't use other vegetables in this broth. I use my vegetable scraps such as carrot and celery and other things like that when I do beef broth, but I find with chicken it drastically changes the flavor of the broth and the kids just don't like it. If I stick to onion and a couple of other ingredients, which I'll show you in a minute, it makes all the difference. Okay, so here are my other ingredients. This is all it is, basically a handful of black peppercorns or whatever peppercorns you have. I will just put in a pot this size, maybe 4 or 5, a bay leaf or two. I will take a couple of those out. A knob of turmeric. I can't always get this. Back home I grew it and I always had it in my garden. Here I'm finding it's not as readily available, but turmeric if you can get it, and ginger. So I snap it in half. Now you'll find there's no need to be fancy when you're making broth. You don't have to peel it or peel the onion. As you can see, I'm going to stick the onion peels right in. Usually this is a very quick, simple thing I do right before I hop into bed so that I can get a pot of broth going on the stove and ready the next day. And I am very busy, tending to a lot of people and have a lot going on, so I don't have time to sit and fiddle around if I don't need to. So I love how simple and easy this is. I'm going to see how I go doing this with one hand while I'm filming, but basically I am going to take and fill this pot with as many bones. I have never tried to do this with one hand. It's a little bit tricky. As I can fit in there. And now it's also awesome if you have them to put in chicken necks or feet. And I know when I first did that, I was like, oh, that looks so weird. But the gold, they're a gold mine. Chicken feet, they're just full of so much goodness. I pretty soon got over my hesitation. Hang on, I'm gonna put this down and empty the rest of the bones. Okay, so as you can see, it's kind of coming up above the top of the pot, but that's okay because these are frozen, and as it cooks, it'll cook down. I couldn't actually fit them all. This one will go back in the freezer until next time I want to make broth. So all the bones are in. I'll throw in these couple little knobs of ginger, and I'll just snap this turmeric. See the beautiful orange color? Isn't that pretty? So pretty. Pop him in there, and I'm gonna get some bay leaves. Okay. I'll probably put two bay leaves in there, and I don't know what's that. I don't count them usually, but just a few peppercorns. And I've got my little handy dandy bag of scraps ends. Now I really want what is the equivalent of a whole onion. Now, as far as sourcing your chicken, obviously there is the best option, which is grass-fed, pasture-raised poultry that most poultry has had some grain, but that has been out on pasture, has been free-ranged. That is what we hope to do and we will have in the near future. We've only been on this property a couple of months, and that we haven't reached that yet. We haven't achieved that yet. So this chicken is from the store bought, and it isn't the fancy stuff that I would really love to be putting in this pot right now. But I also know that there are budget constraints on our family that are on a lot of other families, and I think it's really best to be able to do something rather than nothing, because you can't do the best that you can do. This is the best I can do right now, and I'm okay with that. God's grace can cover the rest until we can get to the point where we have meat chickens growing on our farm and we can harvest them, and I'll be saving all the bones and the feet and the necks and all the good bits to put in the pot. But until then, I'm okay with being able to get the best chicken that I can afford and using it to the max, putting good food on the table for my family, taking care of freezing all the bones and making the most of it, and just being faithful with what I have in my hands right now, and waiting until I have the opportunity to have the best of the best. And it's okay to do that. It's okay if you're not there right now. I'm not there right now. We've been there in the past, and we've kind of taken a bit of a step back in some ways, coming to America and having to start again from scratch. But I also know that happened in Australia, and then we walked along the journey and we got there in the end. So just be encouraged that you don't have to have the perfect cleanest meat in the world, cleanest chicken bones in the world to be able to do this. It's an awesome skill. You will be improving the health of your family doing it, no matter what chicken you use. Just remembered one last very important ingredient that I cannot forget, and that is apple cider vinegar. I always put a tablespoon or 3, I don't know, a little dash into the pot. And what this does is, and you can also use lemon juice if you do not have apple cider vinegar, it's going to go in and start breaking down the calcium in the bones and releasing the minerals from the bones. It just helps to draw out all the goodness in those bones that you don't want in the bones, you want in your broth. So I'm literally just gonna give it a little shake, a little dash, whatever that is. Now, I didn't really tell you why I put ginger and turmeric in my broth. Now, both of these amazing roots have incredible properties that are just so healing and good for our bodies. So both turmeric and ginger are anti-inflammatory. They're both antioxidants. They're both very good for immune function and boosting your immune system to help fight colds and flus. They're very good for your brain. They're good for boosting mood. They're good for just so many things. And aside from all that, the turmeric and the ginger actually just taste delicious in this broth. They just do something to the flavor profile of the broth that changes it. That with a bit of onion, the bay leaf, the salt and pepper, it's just delicious. Okay, so she's all in there. We've got, you can see the water line is just a little bit below the bones because they're coming up so high, but that's okay because I'm gonna pop this lid on, and it will slide into the back of my stove, and I'm going to turn it on here just to a low setting because it's going to stay on all night. Got the right eye? Yes, I got the right one. So that will just stay there all night and slowly simmer away. Good morning. It is the next morning and ready to check our broth. Let's have a look and see. So you can see it's all cooked down to level with the pot. I think I actually put a wee bit too much because this morning when I first came out there was a little bit of overflow. You see it's run over there. But it actually wasn't overflowing until I turned it up a wee bit at 6 o'clock this morning, and I think I just had the heat too high when I first woke up. So if you keep it super low, like I had it last night, it was fine. So you can see all that yummy broth under there, and we'll keep cooking this throughout the day and take a bit from it as we need. It is now tonight. It is 10 o'clock at night. It is kind of late. It's been one of those days where everything just got out of control, and I was going to do something with this a long time ago, but that didn't happen. You know, sometimes life just happens. We had family come, we had school take longer than I thought, we just had stuff happen. So that's okay. The other thing that happened is one of my munchkins, I don't know who, but I discovered that this had been turned off. I was going to let it just keep on simmering through the day, and someone had turned it off. So I discovered that, I don't know, it was around dinner time. So I turned it back on and I've just let it simmer. So here it is. As you can see, it's all boiled down a lot from what it looked like last night. And it's just simmered and drawn all of the goodness out of those bones. I could continue to cook it through the night, but and it would be fine, completely fine. The longer you do it, if you do it for an extended period, like more than 24 hours, I would say, you will start to get a bitterness to it. But it would be fine till tomorrow morning, especially given the fact that it was turned off for a while in the middle of the day. But I will now strain all those goodies out. Just a few basic things that I have here to do this job with. Very, very simple. Have a stainless steel bowl, a strainer, find kind of holes in it, and a little funnel, stainless steel funnel, and some jars to pop it in. And so I will pour this into here and then into the jars. Okay, so this first bit, I just use a slotted spoon. This little cute one at a sale. I've been slowly building my kitchen with at garage sales and estate sales and wherever I can, slowly regrouping all my kitchen supplies. And I like going to garage sales. You can find some beauties. Just gonna let it drip, scoop it over all the bits and pieces. It's amazing, really, that all the leftover junky bits, all the scraps from other meals and from, oh, it's slightly awkward, from other meals and from you know, the bones and the bits that no one wants to eat, the ends of the onions, all the scraps can be turned into such an amazing, nourishing, beautiful, healthful ambrosia. Is that the word? Beverage, to quote Lori, beverage. That's my introduction to American. Oh my goodness, this is really tricky with one hand, guys. My introduction to American culture and American terminology and language actually happened not through my husband's family, but, would you believe it, my brother married an American as well. And when I first met his soon-to-be wife's family, man, they used to crack me up, the things they said. And my sister-in-law's sister, Lori, used to say, "Any y'all want a beverage?" And when she first said it, I said to my brother, I have no idea what she just said. Of course, I'm quite used to it now, but it still makes me chuckle. You can see this is quite a dark color. Now that will vary according to the ingredients, and what that is from, it's that lovely dark rich color because of all this outer onion peels. Now if I had have put in there a whole onion and it just had one outer layer and then, you know, all the white fresh onion in underneath, it would be a lot paler in color. So there's a lot of that rich color has come from the onion peel. So I'm almost done, and I was just thinking, before I forget, all of this goodness here is not to be thrown out, does not need to be wasted. It has been cooked down. It has a lot of the minerals and a lot of the goodness taken out of it, but there's still goodness in there. And what I will, like, sometimes when I have done this and there's still a good amount of meat on the bones, I will do the first 6 to 12 hours and then I will pick meat off the bones again to use in another meal. On this occasion, most of the bones were picked pretty clean. There's not a lot of meat left there. So what this will either go to our 2 dogs or to the chooks. And I know some people are like, oh, you can't do that, but it is fine when you've cooked it for this long. So it's been on the stove for over 24 hours now, and all of these bones have broken down and had all the calcium leached out of them, so they're very kind of fibrous and soft, and they're fine. I'm pretty sure it was Sally Fallon Morell who I heard say that once you've cooked it for 24 hours, it is completely fine to give to dogs. It's good enough for Sally Fallon, it's good enough for me. So I've been doing that without any incidents at all. Or to chickens. And again, some people freak out and go, you can't feed chickens to chicken. But you totally can. And they love the stuff. People, they're chickens. And chickens are scavengers, they're omnivores, they eat everything. And we put this in there and they think that we have given them Christmas dinner. They love it. And it's full of it's still high in protein and things that will help with their egg production, so you're not going to go wrong feeding it to the chickens. So there you have it, all finished, ready to pop them in the fridge. I'll let them cool down a bit before they go in the fridge because it is quite hot still. So four mason jars in, I don't know, just a bit less than a half of nutritious, awesome broth for my family to put in meals over the next week or so, to heat a cup for anyone who's not feeling good. Now, what I have not done with this actually that I need to mention is that I have not salted this, and I tend not to do that at this stage. I will salt it when I heat it and reuse it. So at the moment it has the pepper in it and the few herbs and things I showed you, but it does not have salt, and it definitely will need it. So if I am heating this for someone who's not feeling well and just wants a little immune boost, I will just add salt to taste on an individual basis. I will sometimes, for some people, add a bit more pepper, and if I am doing an immune boosting tonic, I might add a few extra little things in there, like a pinch of cayenne pepper, or a teaspoon of coconut oil, a drop of oregano oil, all the things that will continue to just bolster you up. Or if I'm adding it to a meal, I will simply add it into the meal and then salt the meal accordingly rather than salt the broth. So just depending on what I'm using it for. And then I have this big bowl of goodies, probably for my chooks, I reckon. They'll probably get that. And a bit of washing up, and we're all done. So it really is a simple process. It really isn't hard. It's nothing to be scared of. And you can make it your own. Tweak it to the taste of your family and yourself and how you like it. Adjust things a little bit. And it will probably always, every little batch will taste a bit different. Like I said, this one's a bit darker because of the number of onion outer layers of the onion that I put in. Sometimes it's a lighter golden color. It just varies. But either way, no matter what you do, don't be afraid of it. Give it a go, and you will find that it is an amazing benefit to your family. And something that the thing I find have found most helpful is to just make it part of my regular rhythm in the kitchen, that this is just something I do every time I've got enough bones or every time broth gets low in the kitchen. Okay, it's time to put another pot on, and then it's just one of the staples that I go to in meal prep throughout the days and the weeks. So I hope this is a help to somebody who might be wanting to try it out.